Today we're going to read chapter 2 called Recruiting Women to the Workforce. Recruiting means trying to encourage women to join the workforce and seek jobs outside of their home. Chapter 2. Though women were doing their part on the home front, it soon became clear that they would have to do even more to support the war effort. Millions of men were leaving their jobs to join the war, which created a severe shortage of workers at home. The only way that the U.S. could produce enough military equipment to win the war was to welcome women into the paid workforce, offering them jobs that had been considered until that point men's work. Propaganda, women can do it. To attract women into the workforce, the government launched a propaganda campaign directed at them. The campaign was organized by the Office of War Information, a government agency created to keep people informed about the progress of the war. They created propaganda, posters, and helped magazines and newspapers come up with ideas for articles and advertisements that would encourage women to go to work. War propaganda directed toward women included slogans such as "Women in the war, we can't win without them," and "Count on us, we won't let you down." These slogans were designed to appeal to women's love of country and sense of duty. They suggested that without women's efforts, the lives of their loved ones would be in danger. As a result, at least 6 million American women entered the workforce. American women went to work in factories, offices, and stores. As women went to work, they began to feel a sense of pride to be working for their country and supporting the soldiers on the battlefront. Many found that they enjoyed working with other people toward a common goal. Patricia Buell, a draftsperson in the shipyard, explains, "I think most everybody who worked there felt that there was a job that had to be done. I mean, there was a war to be won, and everybody had a job to do to help win the war." And so I know that you can't see at home, but here's some examples of the propaganda posters. This one says, "Women in the war, we can't win without them," and it shows a woman making some kind of, it looks like airplane part or bomb. Here are some other posters that they use. This one says, "Your scrap brought it down. Keep scrapping," so encouraging people to keep track of scrap metal. Here's another one about war gardens and victory gardens, so encouraging people to grow their own food. And then again, scrap metal here, and some of the things are the scrap that they were asking people to keep and donate would be metals, paper, rubber bands, and even some rags, I guess, to use as bandages. So the next section is called "We Don't Take Women or Blacks." Even though women were desperately needed in the workforce and many women were willing to work, they still faced discrimination. Some employers wouldn't hire married women if men or single women were available. Others refused to hire women at all, even if it meant they were short on workers. Some male workers refused to work alongside women. When the labor shortage forced the Kelsey Hayes Wheel Company in Detroit to hire women, the men in the company went on strike. As a result of the strike, the company was forced to limit the number of women it hired and keep them out of skilled jobs. Phyllis Gold, who became a welder, recalls trying to get a job that required that she first join a union. "So I went to the union hall, and my memory of that place is dark. It was a dark place, and there was this big man dressed in dark clothes, and he just said, 'Nope, we don't take women or blacks.' Only that's not the word he used. So I went home. And the next day I went again, same routine. The third day, I didn't go to the union hall. I went up to the window at the hiring hall, and they said no, and I started to cry. As I'm walking back through this room, there was a man at a desk, and he said, 'What's wrong?' And I told him. I don't know what he did, but he says, 'Go back up there,' and I did, and they gave me the job. Then they hired 5 or 6 more women and a chaperone because we were the first." Rosie the Riveter. The most successful piece of propaganda included a character known as Rosie the Riveter. She first appeared on a poster with the slogan "We Can Do It" in 1942, and she became a symbol of all American working women in World War II. The following year, Rosie was featured on the front page of the Saturday Evening Post newspaper. A song about Rosie was released in early 1943. Rosie the Riveter was inspired by a real-life riveter. Her name was Rose Will Monroe. She was born in Kentucky in 1920. During the war, Monroe moved to Michigan with her 2 children in search of work. She got a job building bombers for the military at an aircraft factory. She was working at the factory when she was asked to appear in a film promoting the war effort. Monroe was described by her daughter as someone who could do everything. During the war, she wanted to learn to fly, but she wasn't allowed to because she was a single mother. When she was in her 50s, she got her pilot's license. After the war, Monroe kept on working. She drove a taxi, ran a beauty store, and started up a building company. She died in 1997 at the age of 77.